Hi, I'm Sam Thomas, and this presentation will explore my research into the effectiveness of using a differentiated approach for one-shot teaching workshops. I will outline the context in which I and many of us work and the importance of recognising the different needs of our student populations. I will then discuss briefly what the existing research and literature says about differentiation and my own action research into implementing it with students. Finally, I will recommend some strategies and approaches that have worked for me in trying to enable all students to benefit from our one-off teaching workshops. I work at the University of Northampton, which, like many universities in the UK, has an aim to widen participation, and with this aim comes challenges. It means that often our students have a variety of educational experiences, backgrounds, and expectations about what their university experience will be. It means that often students require a lot of support with academic culture, language and conventions. A key part of my role as a learning development tutor is supporting students to learn and ensuring they have guidance and feedback which they understand and which can help them to develop their skills. As a team, we are definitely part of that super supportive bubble that you can see on the screen there. We've worked hard at Northampton to ensure our workshops are embedded in programmes and are timed to match the needs of the students. But because we don't have the privilege of working with them regularly, it's difficult to gauge the level and the extent of student needs. There are clear reasons why the one-size-fits-all model has persisted. So it fits the lecture model fairly easily. It's quite easy to program into a timetable of existing lecture slots, that one-size-fits-all approach. It's easier to plan and deliver than a bespoke session. And there is a traditional assumption that actually most of the students are around the same level, so it will meet the need of the majority. However, as I've already mentioned, there are issues in making sure it's appropriate for all. So quite often it is at the wrong level for many students in the group. There is inappropriate content, so it might be something they've already covered or they're not ready to get to yet. And also it's just bad timing, so it might be at a wrong time for their assignments, for example, so they may have a long time before they have to complete an assignment using that particular skill. My research into differentiation often led back to Carol Ann Tomlinson, as she has written extensively about this as a teacher. Her findings really struck a chord with my own experiences, that often what I was delivering was just off the mark for everyone in the session in some way or another. This led me to think, instead of me taking the centre stage and trying to anticipate all of the varied and unknown needs of the students, should I give them agency over their learning to choose what they needed at the time? So differentiation is a term that's often used in primary and secondary education, but not so much in HE. Why not? There has certainly been research carried out into the potential benefits of this approach, for example by acknowledging at least 3 different facets of student need, such as those listed there by Santangelo and Tomlinson. In addition, Valiandis et al. Argue that the concept of intercultural education in the classroom is a positive benefit in that the collective identities of students are adequately acknowledged and supported. However, it's the difficulty of measuring the effectiveness of differentiation that could be a barrier to wider use of the method. It's hard to assess what aspect of a session or intervention has led to the learning for students. So other than measuring an increase in confidence or satisfaction, neither of which are a proxy for learning, there is little else to discover about how differentiation works. So building on this, I developed a session whereby I provided the tools for students to unpick what their needs were and then suggested resources and guidance to build their confidence and expertise in these areas. So this is all based around student choice, not only what is learnt but how it is learnt, so the students are in control of their learning. So I developed a questionnaire. They were then able to complete the questionnaire, decide which activities they were going to prioritise based on that self-evaluation, and then during the workshop session they were able to complete 2 or 3 of the activities in collaboration with other students who had picked similar choices to them. So in this intervention, I deliberately chose to focus on only differentiating the content of the learning in the workshop to ensure that students could find something of value to them in the session, using theories and methods such as setting open tasks as outlined by Petty in his differentiation mind map, which you can see here. The tasks were time-bound and the outcomes weren't assessed, so the main focus of differentiation was the content of the tasks. And you can see some ways of doing that in this mind map. So it might be about the types of tasks that are set, the content, the format. So there's lots of different ways in which you can differentiate the actual tasks themselves, as well as considering those other outcomes and the time given. They're also factors in differentiation as well. So what did I learn from this? Well, I think one of the key things I learned was that the number of students really makes a difference. So if you want to do an intervention where students are supporting each other and there is peer support and peer learning going on, then obviously you need a good number of students to enable you to do that, be it in person or online. So the number of students you are anticipating to attend makes a difference. Scaffolding and modelling are really important, and from my own research I found that some of the activities I'd created were not scaffolded enough for the students that I had in my class. So again, it's thinking about what are their needs, what are the sorts of guidance they are likely to need to enable them to complete the activity effectively. I found that with the self-evaluation it really helped if I modelled it so that they knew what to do, because it was an online evaluation. It was technology that was unfamiliar, so actually going through it myself at the beginning of the session to show them what to do really helped them get into that activity really quickly. I think being prepared for all scenarios is a really good lesson in life, and not just for this. One of the things I hadn't considered was that lots of students were not going to attend the class because they had another assignment for a different module due on that day. So although I thought they'd be very keen because they had an assessment due within sort of 3 days of the class, they were too busy finishing up that other assignment. So there was very poor attendance. So you need to think about the timing, but also actually what do I do if I get fewer students than I anticipated? How might I manage this? And finally, there is that setting expectations. So I think one of the things I really learned from this was about actually those students who aren't attending because they're completing other work really are missing out. They're not getting the support that they need. So I think it really helps to work in collaboration with, you know, the main lecturers and tutors on that module to coordinate things like what work is going on, what are the expectations around attendance, what are the expectations about doing pre-work, can they do pre-work, could they do the questionnaire before they come, in fact, because that would save time in the session and mean you could devote more time to supporting the students doing the activities. And also around participation, I'm sure we're all aware of some of the issues of online participation. So again, it's reinforcing those ideas about what are the expectations for students when they participate in an online workshop. So in terms of working online, these are some of the things that I've learnt really. So I think it's important to understand what is the mix between the peer support and the tutor support. The tutor can't be all things to everyone. And that's why it's really important that the guidance that is given for the activities is really well structured and really detailed so that students know exactly what they're supposed to be doing and they can support each other. There are loads of really good tools out there that you can use for the self-evaluation part of a differentiated session. So I used the test tool that was embedded in our VLE, so we use Blackboard and there's a test function embedded in that. I'm sure other VLEs have similar, but if you didn't have that, you could easily use something like Mentimeter or Socrative or even Google Forms to develop that self-evaluation. So think about what questions you want to ask of the students to then gauge what they need to be doing as activities. And then for those activities, again, there's loads of really good tools, and I'm sure you're all aware of lots of online tools, but the ones that I particularly favour for this kind of collaborative activity, a Jamboard and Padlet. I find that they work really, really well when you're asking students to work with each other and develop things together. So thank you so much for watching this presentation. This piece of work was carried out as part of a module I did, and the full write-up of my research is available online at that address. So it's been published in one of our ILT publications. So please do take a look if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them via my email. So thanks very much, and best of luck with your differentiation workshops. Bye for now.